We're very excited to have this potluck. We have 11 people in the room, which is our largest number so far. We're very excited. We have all kinds of food, desserts, everything, and it's been really fun socializing before beginning. So this has been wonderful for us. So we, I don't know if you want to maybe have everybody say who they are, maybe stand up and say who's in the room so you know who's here. So we'll do that to start, and then I'll open us up with a pledge. So.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Joanna Tavera, and I'm the Area 23 Director, and I'm very happy to be here celebrating with Professionally Speaking.
My name is Karen King, and I am a DTM from long ago, trying to find your home and trying to figure out what I'm going to do next to polish up all my old skills.
I'm Mary West from Remington 63, the PR person for that group.
And Mary's also interested in joining.
I'm Elena Brenna. I'm with Professionally Speaking, and I'm here every week.
I'm Matt Henson, and I know that I come as often as I can, so hopefully more often in the future.
Hi, I'm Judy Stein, and I'm the secretary of our club.
Hi, I'm Terry Barrett, and I'm a member.
William Michael Paul, yes, from Key Center, which is the center of the universe.
Yep.
I love this one. Thank you.
Katie Wilkinson, guest here, Carpool Buddy.
I'm Hazel Booth. I'm part of the club.
We couldn't hear that last person at all. The further back in the room it's gotten, the less we can hear. Just
A little bit more, so we can hear you, both of you.
Hazel and Avalor are in the room.
All right, so I think that takes care of everybody here. And now what I'd like to do is open us up with the Pledge of Allegiance. So those in the room can stand, and we will begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hoorah.
Thank you. And I will turn it now over to Abhijit
me.
as our
Thank you
president.
so much. Thank you so much, Karen. Let me introduce our guest in the virtual room. Kim, do you want to introduce yourself? How did you heard about us, Kim?
Hi, hi everyone. I just searched on Facebook and I found this group. I'm a student at Illinois State University. Okay, hello.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great to have you, Kim. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Louis, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Luis. I'm from Colombia, but now I'm in Cambodia. Yeah, so I just saw on Facebook and I want to see how is the meeting today. Thank you.
Great to have you, Louis. Someday I look forward to visiting Cambodia. Donna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters. My name is Donna Smith, and I am in the Seattle, Washington area. And I found this club, this specific meeting, from a direct reference from Kyle Hall. And so that's how I found out. And I was intrigued by the topic training for tonight. So I'm interested in learning from all of you. Thank you.
Great to have you, Donna. Judith, it's always great to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I am a distinguished Toastmaster from Los Angeles, California. I've been a Toastmaster for a very long time. I was able to join your meeting last time, and I am really looking forward to this one. And thank you for having me as a guest.
It's always great to have you, Judith. Today, our Toastmaster is none other than Judy Stein, our secretary of the club. Judy, it's all you.
Well, thank you, Apogee, and welcome everybody. And it's great to be here in person. First time I've been here, and we do have quite the crowd. It only took an hour from Squim to get here and 40 minutes from Port Townsend. So this is a doable thing. So we have a lot on our plates tonight. I know Abhijit's our main key speaker. Mute. All right. But before that, we're going to have a member spotlight, and we're going to have a humorous speech to warm us up for our key event. At this point, I would like to invite Hazel to do our member spotlight. Hazel Booth.
While Hazel is coming to the front of the room as Zoom master, let me invite you to go to gallery view and take the timer. Who's Terry? Oops. Yeah, she's got Terry Barrett. Let's see. And drag her over to your upper left corner, which will put the timer within your view if you speak. Thank you.
Oh, she needs to put the reaction hand on her screen. So then it puts her on the left corner.
Hello, we're here today to welcome one of our newest members and get to know a little bit about Linda Wu. Could you spotlight Linda for us, please? There she is. Hello, Linda. Where are you tonight?
I'm in China. It's good weather today, and it's early in the morning for me.
Wow. Okay. So I tried to look up Linda Wu online, and I did not know which Linda Wu I was looking at. But there were some Toastmasters who's like made some clubs. Have you been involved in Toastmasters quite some time? I see you have some fancy letters behind your name, and you've helped clubs.
I have been with the professional speaking club for about 2 months, and before that, I was I was member for 2 clubs here in my local city, and yeah, I'm so happy to be here. This is a great family. I met so many people who are very helpful and really professional. I really enjoyed my 2 months here in this club. So happy. Thank you all.
So Linda, tell me, when you wake up in the morning, how do you know, but what's going on? And when you say this is going to be a great day, you know that when?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I marked down the club meeting schedule on my calendar, and this is my first priority in my whole agenda. Thank you.
Your first priority in your whole agenda?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, you are in good company. We have some people in this club who are exactly like that.
Thank you.
So what is your goal for yourself? What's the goal that Toastmasters is helping you to achieve?
I would like to sharpen my presentation skills. I would like to learn more from the professional members in this club. People like Mindy, like Sandra. Yeah, many people. I can't name them all. Yeah, that's my goal, to be like you in several years' time.
All right. And is there a message that you're burning in your heart that you are anxious to share with the world?
Yeah, I have a passion to share, and I have a dream to achieve. Thank you. Thank you
Can you
all.
tell me more about that?
Sorry?
I said, I want to know what makes you tick. I'm curious. Can you tell me more about your passion and your dream?
Oh, okay. My passion is to get the knowledge and the wisdom from different places and share with my local people to help them to achieve their dreams, to realize their potential, and to live a better life.
Okay, so you're going to help the younger people in your country achieve their potential, realize their potential.
Yes. Yeah.
Did I hear you say that you are a teacher?
A trainer and a coach.
You're a trainer and a coach.
Yes.
So do you coach virtually, like over Zoom, or do you coach in person?
Both. Virtually, I coach both in English and Chinese, virtually and also in person.
So when did you come to learn English? Is it something you grew up with?
We studied English from the age of 12 in my days, older days. Yeah, and then I use English as a working language in my work after I graduate. Yeah, but here I learn much more here with you.
You use your English a lot more in this. That's a great asset for the club then, so that you're able to expand your fluency.
Yeah. Thank you.
So when you're not doing Toastmasters, what's something else that just really lights you up? Brings you
I read books and then I share with other people, and also I enjoy coaching people to help them to solve problems in their life and also to achieve their objectives. That's something I really enjoy, to help people to grow.
All right, I'd love to talk with you more about that. That would be a great thing for to learn about.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I am so grateful that you've come to be a part of our club. You're definitely an asset, and we really appreciate having you here.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Hazel, and thank you, Linda. We're going to do something that might be a little different in the room tonight. We are not going to mute. We're going to actually act like a live audience. So that means no talking during the speeches. If you have a need to talk, to go to the back of the room or go ahead and leave the room. So we're just going to be live, okay? And that way we can laugh and clap and give feedback to our excellent speakers. So let's get started with our first speaker. Michael Maddox is our first speaker. His pathway is engaging humor, and he's doing the researching and presenting project 5 to 7 minutes. Oh, no, I see here, it says 8 to 10 minutes. Is that what it is? 8 to 10 minutes. So our speaker, Michael Maddox, a bald guy, you can see, is doing a humorous speech about being boldly bald. A speech for which he's had to do research. To set the tone, he's asked me to tell you 4 jokes. Jokes that could have you pulling out your hair. You're so bald, I can see what's on your mind. You're so bald, when you take a shower, you get brainwashed. Question that might plague a doctor. Is it appropriate to describe a bald man as having a hairline fracture? And of course, the classic, bald man to the barber. I want a haircut, please. Barber to the bald man. Which one? And now Michael Maddox with his speech, Bald, Bold.
A reading from the Old Testament, 2 Kings. From there, Elijah went up to Bethel As he was walking along the road, some boys came out of the town and jeered him. Get it out of here, Baldy! Get out of here, Baldy! He turned around, looked at them, and called down a curse in the name of the Lord. Then 2 bears came out of the woods and mauled 42 of the boys. Afterwards, Elijah skipped off happily to Mount Carmel. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, why did the bald guy paint rabbits on his head? Because from a distance, they look like hares. Ha! Now, I got lots of jokes, bald jokes, mostly from my sons on Scout Camp House. They were not shy about ribbing me. But I also noticed too that when they were losing an argument, they resorted to the nuclear option. But Dad, you're bald. And I would reflexively reply, who do you know in history besides Samson, who's famous for his hair? Napoleon conquered Europe, Gandhi freed India. Yeah, Dad, but you're bald. Ugh. Let's talk bald. I've been bald for a long time and I like it. No dirt in my dreadlocks, no prickles in my ponytail, not at all. It's convenient. When sailors and Marines and I were deploying, we'd shave down to our combat dues. Oh, we were tough looking. My haircut, number 2 all around, tapered in the back, $9. Nice. But for this humor speech, I've been asked to do some research. So I did some research. And so now I'm going to whop you with science stuff. Question. What does a hairless rat and a bald man have in common? Neither has a fat head. And an amazing coincidence in nature, the skin of a hairless rat and the scalp of a bald man have very little fat. Who knew? But what's important, there was very little fat at the pilosebaceous units, which are hair-bearing units. What's really important there, though, is it's pilosebaceous. 5 syllables. So you know this is a science talk, 5 syllables. Well, also, there is lots of prostaglandin D2 in a bald man's scalp. And that's important because prostaglandin D2 is 6 syllables, 1 capital letter, and a subscript 2. That's science code for it. Listen to this. It's really important. There's a subscript there. Another possible cause for baldness, lots of testosterone, the manly man's hormone. I think that's my condition. Lazy stem cells. Could be a sleeper, but if anybody can figure out how to rustle those stem cells out of bed, there's millions to be made. And then finally, genetics. For the longest time, society blamed mom. But now we know it's not just mom coming. They'd say, oh, you got it from your mom. But now we know it's from mom, from dad, and there's actually multiple genes involved. So stop blaming mom. Now, through the years, men have been trying all sorts of concoctions to try to grow hair. 3,500 years ago, the Egyptians put together crocodile, snake, hippopotamus, and lion fat and rubbed it all on the scalp. Kind of a wild kingdom on the noggin. Other unsuccessful attempts have been to sleep in an inverted bed, grow your hair long, don't grow your hair long, don't masturbate, rub carbolic acid and red pepper on your head, wear a vacuum cap, and then dance under a full moon. But the one technique that is guaranteed, but has not garnered many followers is castration. Yes, for a little slice of confidence, a man can cut his testosterone level, but unfortunately, he also hacks away at his primary goal, which is, you guys know it, sex. Cutting the testosterone cuts the sex drive. Putting away the cleavers, though, let's look at some of the modern things that people have been trying. Propecia reduces hair depletion. Rogaine improves the circulation to the scalp. And Scoob3, that's kind of a cute little name. Scoob3 has been known to increase the stem cell activity in mice. So it's really big in the mouse market. However, And then the final one is hair transplants. A little hair moved to here and a little hair moved to there. But whoa, let's step back just a minute. Why all this effort to grow a hair? When you think about it, 25% of men are starting to go bald by the age of 30. And yet in the rest of Earth's land cruising mammals, they all sport fur. So there's something unique, something special about us. Are we missing something? Are we missing something under the rug? One suggestion, and like I said, I did research for this speech. This was published in the journal New Scientist. And it was stated that you might consider that baldness evolved as a social sign of maturity, wisdom, and nurturance. And some people hypothesize that it's also a symbol of dominance and status. Julius Caesar and Napoleon Bonaparte, would we even know these guys if it hadn't been for the Roman legions and the Grand Army following these glorious bald heads into battle? No. And then smarts. It simply boggles my mind to think of this intellectual men I'm associated with. There's Plato, Aristotle, Locke, Bacon, Shakespeare, and one of my favorites, Benjamin Franklin. I mean, these intellectual giants tower over their fuzzy-headed Neanderthal brethren. So with all that, men are spending millions to sprout hair. Some say that the shopping mall set has convinced men that having a hairless head detracts from their primary evolutionary directive, which is to lure a female into the cave. Au contraire, says Jet Magazine. Bald men today are considered cool. No, make that hot. Think Michael Jordan, Shamar Moore, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. And then in interviews with other women, the shaven scalp not only provides a clean-cut, well-groomed image, it's downright macho, simply sexy to bear it all. And finally, one enlightened public relations gal in Ebony Magazine said, displaying a bald head portrays confidence and self-assuredness. Baldness can be a very seductive force that commands attention. And another said, it makes a man seem strong, mature, and wise, so you know he knows what to do. Oh my golly gee, intelligence, confidence, sexy. Need I say any more? And now when my boys come at me and they say, but Dad, you're bald? I say, boys, baldness is not a laughing matter. It's serious stuff. People expect lots of us, but not a problem. We can handle it. But don't ever call us baldy, because Elisha and company, they're on our side. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Michael. Excellent. Timer, will you please give us 2 minutes for the evaluators to have time to write up some feedback, and if anyone wants to send some comments to Michael in chat, as Michael Maddox, please do so at this time. Thank you, Terry. The 2 minutes are up. And our evaluators tonight, our first evaluator is Hazel, who will be doing manual and content for 2 to 3 minutes. And then Jamal George will be doing visual and vocal for 2 to 3 minutes. And I did want to point out to Hazel that we got Terry in that upper left corner, so
We've got what?
Terry, our timer, so that you can see the green, yellow, red.
See what you're.
I know, you can kind of look your eyes up.
No, she's right in front of you. Thanks.
There she is.
I see, they don't shoot over time.
Hey, Michael, that was some kind of speech. I gotta tell you, I got a bald ex-husband and 3 bald sons. And that's the truth. And my husband, when we got married, solar powered sex machine. But you know, he didn't have any of the finesse like what you're telling me. He just tried to sell me on that line. You got more going for you. So I loved how you started with Elijah, a very deep voice and really, you know, exalted kind of a pronouncement. And I love that you brought it back around at the end. Really good job doing the construction of the circle. You found many different angles with which to look at this. And even though it could be a very dry, serious subject, you definitely were able to keep it funny. And I heard your audience laughing. You definitely got our attention. You do some really lovely alliteration as well. There's no dirt in my dreadlocks or prickles in my ponytail. Very little fat. Now, you know, I gotta tell you, each of the bald men in my life have very beautiful scalps. Almost like they wax them or oil them or something. And I'm like, I get these bumps on my head. So there's a reason why God only gave so many perfect heads and the rest he covered with hair. That's what I'm told. A piece about the testosterone. I love the part about not blaming mom. I have heard that a lot. You get it from your mother, not from your father. I'm glad you cleared that up for us all. The castration, I think, kind of made us a little squeamish. I don't think anybody's willing to make that effort. I did like that you went into looking at why, not just what, but why. Why would you go to all this effort? And then you really brought it full circle when it's like having a bald head is an asset. The interactions with your sons, and who knows, are they bald as well? They're getting there. And so now they can fully appreciate that they're mature and wise, confident, intelligent, and sexy. So I thought that you did a really, really smooth job with the humor, with the language, men are spending millions to sprout hair, with the construction of your speech. Very engaging, very funny. Thank you for sharing and being so open.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, and especially you, bold and sexy, confident Michael. What a story. This was amazing. I loved the way you hit all the volume, all the vocal varieties that were excellent. Started off with the gospel, and that was amazing. You transported me back to church, and the way they're reading the Bible verses, that was really excellent. Thank you for transporting me back to church, and excellent use of your vocal variety. I really liked how you used your facial gestures to the maximum. You popped your eyes when you did something like this, and I liked your gestures as well. When you said, "Yeehaw," that was like really cool when you did that. And I also, I saw a lot of actions as well towards the end. When you did this action, that was also pretty good. So you made a good usage of body language as well as your facial gestures. And we were able to see that emotion come through when you got excited and the different conversations that were happening. So how I would take it to the next level will be when you said, "Stop blaming mom." It'll be nice, I would challenge you if your mom is also listening and she says, "Yeah, that's right. Stop blaming me, blame dad," something like that. So, at least we can hear a female version of what a mom would say and how happy she'll be. Another thing is when you were doing the gospel, the reading of the Bible, I felt I was still in the church. So maybe if there's a way you could transition me back from church to the present moment, that'll be good. And then you had some papers and you were showing some papers, but I couldn't see it because of your virtual background. So if there were like small index cards and you were reading by looking at it, maybe you could raise it so we know what were you doing with it. Yeah, that I couldn't see. So yes, if you hold it closer to your body, then I can see it. It looks empty to me. Yeah, but anytime when we have props like this, see if you can have no virtual background. Overall, it was hilarious. I just love the way you nailed it as to why being bald comes with a lot of goodies. And now I will definitely take a closer look at the bald guys and see how, they come with a lot of goodies. And, it's not, it's a good thing to be bald. But the caveat of being bald is like, do you get kids that will be bald? That is a question mark that I have to think about. But thank you so much for opening this topic and sharing your research, and also from your firsthand experience, you just shared with me something to explore and take a look at. Thank you.
So thank you, Michael, and also to Hazel and Jamal. We're into our professionally speaking keynote, which will be done by Abhijit Joshi. This is his presentation mastery path. And the speech title is, before I get to the speech title, I am just going to make a note here. If Q&A goes long, we are running a little behind. Abhijit would like the evaluators, the two people evaluating him, each of them who you are, but just in case, Linda Wu and Matthew Henson. If we're going long and the QA goes long, Abhijit would like the evaluators to send him a written evaluation, so he has that from you. Okay, I've gone on long enough, slowing us down even more. Let me introduce Abhijit Joshi with his speech, How to Gain and Retain Visibility. Abhijit.
It was 2015. NVIDIA was going through a lithium-ion battery recall. In the midst of that recall, they hired me. My background was in batteries. My job was to make sure a recall never happens in the future. My visibility was very active. Everyone knew what I was doing. Even the executive vice president knew about it. But suddenly, within 1.5 years, the company strategy changed and the company got rid of the battery business altogether. and I became completely invisible. I wanted to stay with NVIDIA, but I didn't know what I should do to gain that visibility back. Today, I'm going to share my journey, how things changed within the next 3 to 4 years. Here is our agenda. We'll first start with why. Why do we need to gain visibility? Then we'll talk about how to present ourselves, how to be an effective team player, how to give an effective feedback. And then I'll share one secret with you. And then we'll summarize it. My first question is to you, Kim. Kim, why do we need to gain visibility?
I think we have ideas to say to others. So sometimes your ideas matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Jamal, why do we need to gain visibility?
If we don't gain visibility, it's so easy for people to fire you because they don't know who you are and you just become a head count.
Very, very true. People need to know what we are capable of and what we bring to the table. So always we need to remember our why. I was going through an article and they asked this one question: how much time does it take for people to make our first impressions? How much time does it take for people to make our first impressions? Sandra, any idea? How much time does it take?
I would think it would just be a matter of seconds, very, very quickly.
Very, very true. It takes people 7 seconds to make our first impressions. And now we can break or make those impressions with the way we present ourselves. So the way we present ourselves matters. It makes a huge difference. And how we can better present ourselves? Let's find out. 2 years before, there was my friend, Sean, giving a speech. He was talking about active listening. As he was talking about it, he said, when people are talking, we need to listen. We need to follow them as they are speaking. What used to happen to me if someone is speaking, I am following them as they are speaking. But suddenly, I want to ask a question. I'm started to think about that question. But in that meantime, I've lost what they have said in that amount of time because I was thinking how to paraphrase my question. Sean said, we need to listen to understand, not listen to ask questions. So from that time onwards, I kept focused on what they are saying, just following up with what they are saying so that I can actively listen. Because when I can actively listen, then comes the next part, critical thinking. Because sometimes there is so much of data thrown at us. For example, in a work meeting, when the meeting is 1 hour, there are so many things happening, but we have to do critical thinking. We need to pick up things which are our priority. Another thing, when someone is giving a speech, there is so much of information that is shared. But while giving an evaluation, we have to pick up the top few things and share with those. So that is critical thinking. When we can do critical thinking, that helps us to organize our thoughts because there is so much things in our head. But we need to share in such a manner so that people can receive it. That is the most important thing because people can receive it. We have to make it clear and coherent. We have to be careful with one thing. I was in a meeting with a European counterpart. We had a meeting for 1.5 hours. After the meeting, I was trying to write notes. What things did we talk about? And I realized we were just rambling. 1.5 hours got wasted. So we have to make sure that we don't ramble, because we will lose our audience, we'll lose our message, or we'll lose the points we are trying to make. The reason we have to remember is when we are trying to communicate, we're communicating for 3 main reasons. We're communicating because we want to be heard. We are communicating because we want to be understood. We want to be communicating because we want to be remembered. Heard, understood, and remembered. When we communicate in that way, people are able to receive us. They're able to understand each and everything we are trying to say. Always I have to remember, it's not about me. It's about the other person I'm trying to communicate. I have to communicate in such a way that they can receive it. Any questions so far? Yes, Elaine.
I had a question, Abhi.
Yep.
What about getting people to take action? Isn't that where we get people to speak, to adopt our ideas and take action?
Yes. So we want to inspire them. Once we are able to inspire them, then we can have that call to action so that they can make that difference. And the call to action should be such that it should not be too big. Something start out small.
I have a question.
Yes.
Speak in such a way that they can receive it. Could you elaborate more on that?
Yes. Always try to understand whom you're talking to, because there is someone who's just starting out their career. You cannot share too much information with them because they are not able to digest it. For example, in Toastmasters, if someone is just starting, you cannot share all the knowledge with them. You want to start slow. And that really helps so that they can digest that information step by step. Elaine, did I answer your question, or do you have any other question?
I think it's fine for now. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. The next part, we talked about how to present yourself. Now we'll talk about how to be an effective team player. It was September 19th, and I was having a chat with my mentor. And in that time, my mentor asked me a question. What are the 3 triads of being a good team player? As I started thinking, I said relationship building. She asked me to elaborate on it. As I was drawing a blank, she shared 3 things that makes us an effective team player. The first one is the drive to make a difference, the drive to go beyond what is needed. I have this new colleague at work. He joined 6 months ago. Whenever we need something, he's always there. He takes that initiative to help us out. Because of that, he has created very strong relationship with all of us. And whenever we have something good project, we always think about him. It's just because the drive he has. In another case, in Toastmasters, there is this area director who is going beyond than what is needed. He even joined a struggling club in his area. The way he communicates, the way he executes stands out. And one day, Jamal told me, watch this guy, he's going to become a district director. It's just because of drive. The second thing is humility. 2 years ago, our CEO was in our Toastmasters meeting. And one thing he said, I would never forget. He said he has genuine empathy for people so that they can understand each and every word he's trying to say. He has genuine empathy. He's trying to be humble so that people can understand, people can receive him. In another example, recently, there was a Toastmasters contest. The contest chair and the judge, they're trying to communicate with each other. The contest chair was trying to explain the judge how to use a Google form. After their conversation, the judge calls me and says, I don't want to be a part of it. This contest chair thinks I am stupid. I asked the judge, what made you feel that? She said, her tone of voice. As I started pondering over it, I realized the tone of voice makes a difference. We have to be very careful with our tone of voice. Our tone of voice should be such that we show that humility so that we can connect with people and they can receive what we are saying. The third and the most important part is being people smart. And people smart has two parts. One, being emotional intelligence. Few years ago, my vocabulary of my feelings was good, bad, and fine. And fine stood for freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. My vocabulary was very, very small. One day during yoga, I was talking to my colleague Warner. And as we were walking, he said that he encouraged me to join nonviolent communication. I didn't know what nonviolent communication was, but he said it will help you. And when I joined that group, it helped me to expand my horizons, especially with my feelings. I could understand what I'm feeling at that particular moment. It becomes important because I know when I'm centered. Because if I am centered, then I can observe things. If I am not centered, my observation is colored or clouded by my emotions. So we can only observe if we are centered. Now, when we are centered, we can observe what is going on. 6 months ago, I was working with my colleague. He wanted to have a build. We had to build a board. So he wanted to have a build at the company he was working with. I wanted to have a build at Foxconn. We're kind of butting head against each other. And since I was not attached to the outcome, I could see that he was getting a little bit defensive. At that moment, I had to take a step back and understand, okay, what is important for me? The important was getting the build done. It was not important for me where we do it. And as soon as I said, okay, let's do the build where you want to do, the process became very seamless to make sure we could get our job done. So if I was attached to that outcome, I would not have been able to catch it. One thing about interpersonal awareness, it takes time to develop. And we have to find a place where we can practice those skills. So far, we went through why. We talked about how to present yourself. We talked about how to be an effective team player. We'll talk about how to give an effective feedback. Kim Scott wrote this book, Radical Candor, and now she calls it a compassionate candor. How to give feedback at work. 6 months ago, my boss was in a meeting. And that meeting had a lot of executive VPs in the meeting. In that meeting, my boss was trying to make a point, but he was dragging very long time, or he was speaking a lot. After the meeting, he called me and said, was I able to convey my point, or was that okay to go on longer? At that moment, I got scared. I could not give him the precise feedback I wanted to give. And that reminded me of compassionate candor. Compassionate candor is XY axis. If you see it, you have care personally on the top side of Y, and you don't care about the person on the bottom side. You're silent on one side, and you challenge directly on the other side. So Terry, which quadrant should our feedback be? There are 4 quadrants. Which quadrant our feedback should be? You're muted, yeah.
I would think, oh, don't unmute, sorry.
I would think it needs to be right in the middle.
Okay. The more I go through each quadrant, I'll show it to you. So when I gave you the example, I was talking about the ruinous empathy. Like I could not give the feedback to my boss. This is the second worst quadrant to be in. I haven't seen much of examples of manipulative insincerity where people don't care about yourself and they're staying silent. So I'm not going to talk about this, but this is the worst quadrant to be in. So immediately I realized that I was in ruinous empathy, and same thing happened in Toastmasters. Like once I was evaluating a level 5 speaker, and I knew he was not prepared and his speech was not meeting the objectives, but I did not tell him. That is ruinous empathy. I stayed silent. Obnoxious aggression. This is the second best quadrant to be in because at least you're getting some feedback. But when you're giving very direct feedback, sometimes it can be I feel very defensive about it. It's very hard to take in all that feedback. I want to share a story about it. 2.5 years ago, there was this colleague in my group. And I said to myself, if this colleague becomes my boss, I would change my role. After 1 year, he became my boss. And during one of my evaluations, he gave such a direct feedback that I was done. I said, I'm going to change my role. What he was doing, he was giving an obnoxious, aggressive feedback. Same thing in Toastmasters. We want to be careful. We don't want to give a very obnoxious, aggressive feedback. And finally comes the compassionate candor. Here is the quadrant where we deeply care about the person, but at the same time, we need to give that courageous, candor feedback so that we can motivate them to take that next step. At my workplace, recently, we had a meeting. And after that meeting, my boss called me and asked me, what do you think about the meeting? And this time, I just kept this quadrant in my mind. And I told him directly, that meeting I felt was a waste of time for all of us. And we had a good connection because he also agreed to the same thing. And I was glad that I was able to share that direct feedback in a compassionate way. So always remember to have your feedback in this quadrant. Watch this, ruinous empathy. It doesn't help anyone. I was in a job where my boss was giving me ruinous empathy. I never learned anything. So Watch that one. We need to find a safe place where we can practice these skills. For me, it was Toastmasters. I was able to practice active listening. I was able to practice how to be a team player. I was able to practice how to give effective feedback. What is your safe place where you can practice the skills? Find your safe place and keep on practicing. It takes time, but over time, you will get those skills. To recap, always remember your why. Why do you need to gain visibility? Present yourself in such a way that you're practicing active listening and you are able to critical think, organize without making sure you're not rambling, and communicate so that you can be heard, you can be understood, and you can be remembered. Be a team player, have that initiative, have that humility, and be people smart. Compassionate candor can help you give that courageous candor and challenging feedback. Practice, find your safe place where you can practice the skills. Questions?
I have a question,
Yes.
if I can.
Sure.
So in your example of the compassionate feedback, you use several work examples
Yes.
where there may be conflict because of role power and the way that defines how you're giving feedback. Is that correct?
Yes, very, very true. You know, like today I was talking to actually Jamal, sometimes we are going through tough times and the person is just not telling us what is happening. Like they're just giving us ruinous empathy, and we know that. So at that moment, we don't feel any connection with them. And there are occasions it happens, but I feel we should communicate in such a way that we connect with people, not just because we have to say something. Does that answer your question?
I'm thinking about it.
Yes.
Because again, it's one of those definitions of what feedback is.
Yes.
And I have a different school of thought and a different training and background on what feedback is. So feedback should be neither viewed as good or bad. Feedback is, how do you bring someone back onto the correct path? Or give them the information so they can be better at whatever it is they're doing that they're looking for feedback on. So it's like, the old adage of a torpedo. Torpedo, you're heading on target. Good, good, good. Going off target. Don't hear nothing. Come back to target. I hear something. Go off target. I don't hear nothing. So again, that's feedback. It should not have a good connotation or a negative connotation. It is, what are you working? What's going well? And what do we need to take another look at to improve?
Very, very true. I also see feedback in the same way. Actually, I see feedback as observation. One thing I read this book recently, it said observation and not judgment is the highest form of human intelligence. So when we are giving feedback, we have to give it in such a way that we use that kind of a language which shows observation. And that's easier to take in also.
Thank you.
I have a question, Abhijit.
Yes, Jamal.
So you started off as a battery engineer and then you became invisible. I want to see how did you transition and which place are you in right now?
Yeah.
Additionally, what all skills did you learn?
Yes. So what happened is after 2017, means when the company changed, for 2 years, I didn't know what was going on. But in 2018, my friend, she said, oh, join this place, Toastmasters, it will change your life. I said, I was seeing that poster for 3 years. I never wanted to join it. But when I started working 2019, 20, things were going. And I always wanted to be a program manager, but I was not very confident. But with the skills, the speaking, as well as the leadership skills I was practicing over 2.5, 3 years, I reached a point where I knew I wasn't going to change the role. And there, a role for program manager became available. And this time I was very confident. The interview was a breeze. And I started working there. I developed people skills, which was very helpful for me to go through the projects. So people are now seeing it that I can make a difference. So all these skills helped me, and there is a good amount of visibility now.
Abhijit,
Yes.
Judith had her hand up before.
A question.
Yes.
Going back to the feedback, because it's kind of stuck in my mind here. You said that after you left the meeting, you said to this person that it was a terrible meeting and it was a waste of time, and the person agreed.
Yes.
Now, you think that this was really a helpful feedback to anyone?
Yeah, because we didn't organize the meeting, but at that moment, we were both invited to that meeting. Okay. And he really wanted to know what I'm thinking at that very moment, because he also knew that no one knew what they were doing in the meeting. So we both were accomplices in the meeting. We are not the ones who were organizing it. So that's why I could directly tell him that, oh yeah.
I just have a different feeling. I thought every meeting has at least one thing that was not a terrible thing. But anyway, so this is kind of an interesting thought process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah.
This isn't really a question, but I wanted to comment about your speaking about feedback and about Toastmasters and evaluations and how educational and helpful the contest process has been for me. Also helping to grow my own evaluation skills and help others to grow theirs, and observing those who evaluated well and what was it about it that made it such a good evaluation. And for me, candor, yes, is critical. And I mean, the compassionate candor is a wonderful name, because there was a person in our club who gave the best evaluations, and it wasn't about analytical thinking, although she did that well too. It was the kindness that she brought. I mean, she had excellent observation, and she could choose one thing that would make things much better. But the kindness that came through always struck me so strongly, and that has continued to inform me. In fact, sometimes I think at evaluation contests that rather than getting the best speaker possible, it actually might help to challenge evaluators more to get a speaker who's not that experienced, because it's a different skill set to be able to give helpful feedback in a small enough amount, in a kind enough way, so that it can serve them. So anyway, that was my thought as you were speaking. Thank you.
No, very, very true. Recently we had one of the fall fusions, and the speaker was not the best speakers. And it was fun to see the evaluators coming in and saying, oh, that was an amazing speech. But we all knew it was not an amazing speech. So how do you frame it in that? It was an interesting competition. I totally agree with what you said.
Yes, because the skill of being able to say, you showed up and you told your story, and I appreciate that. You know, bringing it down to a level where it is true.
Yeah.
It can be a challenge. Yeah.
Very, very true. How you word it, it's very important in that moment. Yeah.
Thank you.
Kim had her hand up.
Kim?
Yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Hi, Abhijit. So you showed a diagram.
Yes.
It's kind of a diagram with the boxes and the arrows.
Yes. Yes.
So is there a reason why things are in specific box and like the relationship between the ideas there?
This box, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So there are two axes. Okay. One axis you are challenging directly to the person in the other side. You're staying silent. So that is one axis. And then you can have another axis where you care really about the person and then you don't care about the person. And then when you have these 4 quadrants, you can decide where you want to give feedback.
Yeah. Yeah. So the upper one is a good one and the lower
So
is
the best one is this one.
Ah,
Okay.
yeah.
Here you are giving them a challenging and a direct feedback in a compassionate way. Okay.
Yeah.
And then ruinous empathy is something you're staying silent. I had to make a move from here to here. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the lower one are like the bad one.
Yeah, this is the second best, but still it can be too aggressive sometimes. People cannot, not everyone can take it.
Yeah. Okay. That's the second best.
Yes, still the second best, because at least you're giving some value to them. These two sides, there's no value. But a profound amount of change happens in this quadrant.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you, by the way, explain the obnoxious aggression more?
Yes, I will give you an example. I went to an advanced Toastmasters club. I gave a speech and I had 12 evaluators who were giving me feedback, what things I needed to improve on my speech. But after like 4 or 5, I had enough of it. Like, I didn't want to hear what I did bad because I already heard of. But having that 10, 12 people giving me feedback, it was tough. It was tough for me to take in. Like, yeah, because they were only pointing out what things you did bad. So that was a very direct feedback for me.
Thank you.
Jamal, you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Critical thinking and organizing. Share with me more about it.
When we are doing experiential learning, there are 4 parts in experiential learning. The first one is we experience things. Then we reflect on what went right or what went wrong. For example, recently I was mentoring people, but this time I was having 2 mentees at the same time. As I was reflecting on it, I realized that, oh, it didn't go as well as I wanted. And I realized that their levels were different. Now comes the critical thinking part. Okay, I know their levels were different. Okay, what can I do to make it better? Or critical thinking, when I started, I was postulating things like, okay, the next time when I do that, I can have 2 people of the same level and mentor them. Or I can have another way, is just doing one at a time. So that part is critical thinking. In another example, like suppose if you are doing an evaluation of someone, you have so many things, like you have suppose 6, 7, 8 items that you want to talk about, but then you cherry pick few of them which stand out for you. So that is critical thinking. You prioritize. But when you're prioritizing something, that is critical thinking based on why.
And that diagram you had where it was all jumbled up and then it becomes really clean. Can you
Yes.
share more about that?
Yes. So when we have so much information, okay, not all the information is needed for when you're communicating. It has to be in a simple form, easy to digest. So when you make it simple and organize it in easy way, then it becomes easy to receive and digest. So always remember, we don't need to share a lot of things. We can share them step by step in a very organized way so that they can receive it.
So in a meeting, we have to do all this at the same time, right? Like, is it through practice it gets better?
Yes, it's through practice. Always, I learned is not to take too many notes, take notes in a tweetable form so that I can still listen what is going on.
Okay.
Yeah. Any more questions? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Yes, Vivian.
Yes, Abhijit, thank you very much. I came a little bit late, but I caught the tail end and I love your square. Now, my direct question is, in a room full of people like this one that we have multiple intelligences. We have different learning styles. We have different personalities. The poor facilitator, he is not a mind reader and he doesn't know everybody in the room. Let's presume that's the scenario. How? As in how, right? Because you know that in an auditorium, you have a couple of hundred people. What's your best advice when it's a public engagement?
This is a very good question. Actually, this reminds me of Luisa Montalvo. I'm learning this from Luisa Montalvo. What she does, like especially this is easier in a room of like 10, 12 people where I can see their faces. What she said that he watches their reactions, how things are landing, as you are saying. She watches those expressions. So I'm training myself to watch the expressions of people. Okay, how are they receiving it? They will share the data with you. They will share information with their facial expressions. And depending upon that, then you can change your content so that they can receive it in an easier way, or at least you can have that audience awareness to change your content in such a way that you can connect with them in a better way. So watch your audience, watch their physical gestures, body language.
Thank you, Abhijit. You've made me very, 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 very happy because I'm one of those people who are forever on gallery mode. Like right now, I see all of you because like when I'm talking, I want to see, do you love me? Do you hate me? Do you not care? Did you stand up and take a drink? Or did you just say, wave, goodbye, goodbye, go away, right? So thank you, Abhijit. At least I know I'm not crazy. Thank you.
I
Jamal,
have,
yes.
yes, two questions. One is, now that you have visibility, does that mean more workload for you? And if that's the case, how are you managing that workload? And the second question is, where do I start to gain more visibility?
The first question is, yes, I got piled up on 6, 7 projects. It's like, But one thing I learned from being in Toastmasters, like you are a club officer initially, it's overwhelming. I was a VP for 1 year. I have to take care of 20 people. But as you do that, you become efficient. You can put in processes that can help you to become more efficient. And then you take a bigger step, being an area director. Now you are responsible for 100 people. Again, when you start it out, it's very overwhelming. But you can work on your efficiencies and put processes in place. As you go up and up, it becomes harder. But I learned that I now have those processes and I can bank on my efficiencies to make it easy. So it doesn't matter how much workload, I can work on those two things.
And as a newbie, where do I start?
Start slow, it takes time. One thing is, when I was in Toastmasters, the only goal I had was to add value to other people. And if you have that goal, and if you're very consistent, it's all about consistency, consistency, consistency. Keep on doing it. And then suddenly after 18 months or 2 years, you will feel like, oh, something just snaps out of you because you have worked on it. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Back to you, Judy.
Thank you, Abhijit. Wonderful, wonderful. Great, organized and very understandable. And I really like the Q&A for clarifications. We are running out of time, but what I'd like to offer our two evaluators, if you can keep it to 1 to 2 minutes, at least do the very highlights, and then you can send Abhijit more written. That would be great. So Linda, can you point out just a couple of things that were extraordinary and maybe 1 or 2 suggestions, and then we'll go ahead to Matt. And Linda is doing manual and content.
Thank you, Abhijit. A very good, engaging keynote speech. You did very well. First, the topic resonated with all the audience. We all wanted to have more visibility in the workplace. Very good. And you demonstrated very useful skills in engaging the audience. You ask the questions. You also have plenty of time for Q&A, and you also clarify with the member who if you have answered the questions or not. And you also use your gestures, like this, to keep our interest. And you also have a very organized structure. In the beginning, you have an opening, one example from your own working experience, and then you give us the agenda. And in between, you revisit the agenda to let us know where you are. And by the end of the session, you recap the key points. Something maybe you wanted to consider. Instead of asking 1 or 2 members to answer your question, you might want to ask the big audience, to keep all of us engaged. And another thing might be that the content looks like it's too much for a 20 minutes session. You can easily, expand it to 1.5 hours. Overall, this is a very keynote speech. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. And now Matt will give us the visual and vocal.
Abhijit, thank you very much for doing your speech tonight, fellow Toastmasters. I'm going to keep it really brief and hit some of the really special things. I love your sweater, man. Okay, just saying. But I also want you to be careful about where your eyes are, because sometimes you seem to be looking up more, and I was wondering if I could start counting your nose hairs. So just be aware of where your eye sight line is and how you're presenting, especially in a Zoom fashion. I thought your vocal pace was outstanding. It was slow enough to be deliberate. It was allowing people to listen and follow, and I think that was outstanding. When you talked about humility, I was sort of hoping you'd put your hands up and so be humble. But there you go. There's a few points, and I do have more, and I'll send it to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you to our evaluators who all showed compassionate candor. Our general evaluator tonight is Sandra Kolb. Sandra, are you ready?
Yes, thank you so much, Toastmaster Judy. Well, what a wonderful evening. We had some excellent speakers, great topics and discussions, so thank you so much. We started very closely to on time. I really loved how Karen had the guests in person stand and introduce themselves prior to the pledge. I thought that was brilliant, because once we did the pledge, then we could transition directly to our president, who then introduced all the guests on the gallery in the gallery view before he handed it off to our Toastmasters. So I just really want to shout out to you in the opening, all of that group, that I loved how it was structured. Judy, as a Toastmaster, oh my goodness, you were very prepared. Your preparedness showed. I loved how you explained to the live audience their in-person expectations about sound, that they would be live. I loved it that you spelled out those very specific points to direct the audience, and also the directions to the evaluators prior to bringing on Abhijit, so that they knew that their expectations may change a bit depending upon time and the Q&A period. So well done, Judy. Hazel, always the extraordinary Vice President of Membership. You have a warm, friendly, engaging, conversational manner as you interview. I love the questions. They were honed to bring out topics, emotions, feelings, passions about Linda, so that we could get to know her much better. You always do a wonderful job, Hazel. And then now, Hazel as the evaluator. I appreciated how you pointed out the humor, the alliteration, the examples from Michael Maddox's speech, and pointed out the why and the what. You did such a wonderful job with the positive parts of his feedback. I may have missed some suggestions. What might help Michael take this wonderfully speech to the next level would help him with some suggestions on some ways to possibly work on it for the next time. Forgive me if I missed that. And then going to Jamal, you had very clear positive feedback in the opening and closing. You modeled the sandwich approach perfectly. You had 3 clear, specific instructions to take his speech to the next level. And you had about 3 to 4 times more positives than those 3 aspects to work on, which made your evaluation extremely motivational and inspirational. So how could you not listen carefully to that feedback? Kudos, excellent job with that. And then moving on to our evaluators for Abhijit's speech. Linda, you addressed the manual and the content. You gave us your specific observations, what you saw, how you reacted to it. And then you gave him 2 points to take it to the next level, should he do it again. You used that sandwich approach also effectively in a very short time. Well done, Linda. Matt, you engage us right away with a compliment to Abhijit about loving his sweater. And I heard laughter in the room. I'd never heard that before, ever, in all my evaluations. So that was wonderful. And then you gave very specific, candid ways that Abhijit could perhaps work on his content or his presentation for the next time. And again, you added, I believe there was another point of appreciation. But thank you so much, everyone, for your participation. Excellent meeting. And back to Judy, our Toastmaster.
Thank you, Sandra. Great evaluation. Terry, would you like to give a timer's report, please?
Okay.
No, stand.
Okay. So let's see, starting with our first speaker finished at okay, our first speaker finished, let's see, at 8 minutes and 35 seconds. And that was okay, and that was from Michael. And 22 minutes and 39 seconds was the completion for Abhijit's talk. Our evaluators, Hazel was at 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Jamal was at 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And then for our questions, went about 17 minutes. So, and for our general evaluator, Sandra went 4 minutes and let's see. I'm trying to write down here. It's just over, it was, I believe it was 4 minutes and 38 seconds, that's right. So I think that's everybody. Thank you very much.
And again, our second set of evaluators were well within time because I asked them to do that. So thank you. Thank you, Terry. Oh, yes. I am now going to turn control of this meeting, this wonderful Zoom and in-person meeting, back to our president, Abhijit Joshi.
Thank you so much, Judy. Thank you for being our wonderful Toastmaster. Let me call upon Lindy to share our event with us. Lindy, can you talk about the greatest show on Zoom?
Yes, next Thursday. Oh my gosh, not next Thursday. December 1st, 2 weeks from now, we are doing the greatest show on Zoom. I will have my top hat, my red jacket, and be doing my Hugh Jackman imitation of the Greatest Showman. We have games, we have 6 celebrity Toastmaster players, we have 6 featured semi-celebrity players, we have 12 other storytellers, we have all kinds of people lined up to entertain you. Between bouts of entertainment, we have a live auction to help raise funds for this club in its ongoing operational budget for space rental and Zoom account, etc. Everyone does need to register on Eventbrite, please, because we have set up a different meeting on Zoom. It will be at a different link. I will also ask Sandra to put it where she usually does at the top of agenda, but please register. I will put that in the chat. It's going to be such a fun night. I really hope that everyone can be there. I have so much help from every club member and people far beyond the club. Joanna is our Zoom master, and we've drawn on people from Alaska, and we have the Peanut Gallery who's going to entertain you there from the Alaska room. Top of the World Club is there, Latitude 61. So it's a wonderful collaboration, lots of energy, and Abhijit is going to be being the auction master from India. He is staying in India an extra day so that he can get good, internet and fulfill his role. He knew I would come after him with a stick otherwise. So thank you, Abhijit. Look forward to seeing you all then, for sure.
Thank you so much, Lindy. Do come and join us, because last year it was a blast. And I know next year, in 2 weeks, it's going to be a blast again. Before we end, I want to get some guest feedback. Judith, how was your experience today?
It was a great experience. I'm just writing you a feedback about your speech, actually, right now. It really was, it was it was an interesting topic. And I think I just want to say one thing about this, and I will finish writing this, that
I think that your presentation was really great, but there was just too much information. And it's difficult to comprehend all of it. I think it would have been great to have just a little bit less. And all those things, those topics with the feedback needed just a little more examples. So then we completely understand what it was you meant. But, it was very interesting. Thank you for having me. And I love the bald jokes and the speech, and he was really fabulous. Certainly the best speech on a bald topic I heard, and that was fabulous. It was really great, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you for having me here.
Hope to see you again in 2 weeks, Judith. Elaine, how was your experience, Elaine?
Hi, Abby. So you're president of this club. Well, I find out something new about you every meeting I visit, it seems. Okay. I enjoyed it. I heard that you guys are doing hybrid from my pal. So I wanted to check it out. So that's really why I came. And I just happened to have the bonus of you speaking. So that was very nice. It was very nice to visit. Thanks.
Hope to see you back in 2 weeks, Elaine. Donna, how was your experience, Donna?
Yes, thanks. I really enjoyed my guest visit tonight. And you personally fulfilled my learning expectation for the fantastic topic that got me here. And I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the meeting as a whole. I thought it was very energetic, and I enjoyed the humorous speech at the beginning, and listening to all of you with your feedback and evaluations and etc. And I especially appreciated your keynote speech. So thank you, and I will be back again soon.
Perfect. Hope to see you again in 2 weeks, Donna. Kim, how was your experience, Kim?
You guys seem to be very nice, highly educated, kind people. So I would love to be back. I'm very grateful for the universe to brought me here. Thank you.
Great to have you, Kim. Vivian, how was your experience?
I am just so glad that I caught you at the right time. I was able to catch you for that precious 4 squares. Well, the universe doesn't make mistakes. I conclude that that was the message for me. So I take it to heart, and I will follow your precious advice. And thank you for all that you do for all of us, Abhijit. May the force be with you.
Great to have you, Vivian, and hope to see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Judy,
Happy
can you help?
Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Judy, can you help me with people in the room? I want to hear how was the potluck and how was their experience?
Start with William Michael Paul. Yeah. William Michael. Oh, speak on it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. I think the general evaluator covered it well about the sandwich method. I personally thought your speech was powerful, that it could have been two speeches. Could have broke it down so that in Q&A, that's spot on. I love Q&A. Who doesn't like all those? But I think maybe perhaps Q&A could be just one question per person. That would tighten it down, tighten the meeting real quick. And Michael, my gosh, brother, I can see why you make the best barbecue chicken. Gotta be well-headed to have that kind of chicken bone. But I'm just really glad to see Michael and Mr. President. Great job. Honored to be here as always. And I'm from the KP Club, keeping us. Thank you so much.
Karen King in the back there.
Well, I was gonna
come up so they can hear you.
I want to thank you for inviting me tonight. I really did enjoy it. I am fascinated with the mechanics of all this because I'm currently doing a workshop. And it's kind of an experimental thing that I'm doing pretty much by myself and just coming in on a wing and a prayer. And I've got a lot of questions to ask about how all of this happens. And I'm eager to learn more.
Mary West. Hello, thank you. I really enjoyed this. It was really nice to be able to observe the speakers and the evaluators and learn from you. So thank you so much.
Oh, hello, this is Dennis. Now, a former member, a guest tonight.
Yes, I'm a guest tonight, and it's really nice to be back and see all of you. I'm just so busy with my club of Jefferson County, but it's really nice to be here. And this is my very first hybrid meeting that I've ever experienced. So it's been a real learning experience for me. And it's a little bit daunting, but you know, good to have that new information. Thanks for having me.
Joanna, you want to say something? Of course.
You pick me up yet? Okay. As the area director, it's always an exciting thing to come out to a social event, and for that social event to be a hybrid event is even ups the ante, and you have done that well, and I'm very excited about that. So thank you all for coming out and being here. Normally, it's just Elena by herself in the room, or Elena and one other person, so thank you for coming out and supporting that. This is an amazing location. Hopefully you'll visit more often and you enjoy what you've heard. Michael Maddox. Sir, he's gone. Oh, he's always been funny, but I didn't realize he was funny on Zoom. I think that's hard, being funny on Zoom. And I sent you a couple of suggestions on the email. And one of the things that I thought about of the aggressive quadrant was when I was in the military, when you didn't meet standards or there was a safety violation, that's when you got aggressive with people because you cared about the process more than you cared about the person. So I was able to connect with that. There might be people who didn't have that, but in your field, that might be a great way to bring that into an example. So it makes it inclusive for all of us and we can nod our head and say, yes, that's another example. So they don't all have to be your examples, in my opinion. So thank you very much for the meeting, Sandra. You are gracious as always, and thank you for being our general evaluator and highlighting all the great success that the meeting had as a whole. And again, it's so amazing to see people in person, and thank you for being here with Elena and I.
Thank you so much. Petra, how was your experience, Petra?
Thank you, President Abhijit. And hello, everybody. I'm joining from Thailand, and we are halfway across the world. In Thailand, it's now past 11 o'clock a.m. on Friday. You're on Thursday, right? I've learned so much from everybody. I came in a little bit late, but especially I learned so much and really appreciated the general evaluation of this meeting. And I would like to express my thanks to Lindy, who invited me to, who introduced Professionally Speaking Club to me, and it's really fantastic. And I pass it forward by inviting Judith, and I've seen that she has visited this club 2 times now. So I hope you will give me opportunity to visit your next meeting, which is going to be awesome. Thank you for everything, Abhijit.
Thank you, Petra. Great to have you and see you in 2 weeks. Luis, how was your experience?
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm not able to open the camera today, but in the coming one, I will do. it was a really great experience. To be honest, I found by accident on Facebook and it was a great experience. And I love the two speakers, humorous and your keynote speech. It was also amazing because I'm a Toastmaster member here in Cambodia, but I face some problems to give feedback. English is not my mother tongue. So sometimes I find quite challenging how to give feedback and don't be like that, give feedback in the right way. So thank you so much and see you in the next meeting. Back to you, President.
See you in 2 weeks, Louis. Great to have you. Melanie, how was your experience, Melanie?
Hi, everyone. I'm visiting you from Australia. I really appreciate your meeting because I really think it's always well organized and I like the multiple layers of feedback that you give. I was late today because I was in another meeting, but I had this FOMO from your PR, your VP PR, and fear of missing out on Abhijit. So I thought, let me try, even if I catch a little bit, I'll still get some value. And I did get that. I though now have FOMO from missing Michael's speech because I'm sure I missed a really good one. I did actually see Lindy's evaluation at the Fall Fusion, but I was too tired to stay awake to hear the results. And I've been checking the website all the time to find out the results. So I just want to say thank you for the club for another great experience at your meeting. And I do hope to come back when I am available. Thank you.
Great to have you, Melanie, and see you again in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to seeing you all in 2 weeks for the greatest show on Zoom. Good night, everyone.
In person too, then.